What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. So every once in a while League of Legends has some pretty insane glitches pop out here and there. Now I don't know if there's been any really crazy ones in recent times, but in the past there was definitely all sorts of really crazy things that happened, all sorts of totally game-breaking stuff, and I wanted to take a look at some of the coolest, craziest, and just kind of the most ridiculous glitches that existed in League of Legends history. Now, of course, there's way more than 20 crazy glitches that existed. I think someone like Mordekaiser alone has as much as 100 plus bugs in the game today, but that's another story on its own. And today I just picked out 20 of some really crazy glitches that maybe you guys didn't know about, especially if you're a newer player, or if you're an old player, maybe you can just enjoy the ride of reminiscing about some of the crazy stuff that happened in the past. Of course, there's been more than 20. I just wanted to make a video. I felt like 20 was a good amount. Anyway, let's get started, and if you enjoyed the video, definitely hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this one in the future. And just before we start, this video is sponsored by Rivals, the esports MOBA manager. It's a free PvP game where you lead your own esport team, building a kick-ass gaming house, winning championships, and competing with your friends. Be in charge of setting up strategies, hiring players, deciding on picks and bans, and coaching your team. The gameplay involves stuff like strategizing versus your opponents, building your team setup, decide on your tactics and champions, and watch your team dominate in real time, see how they go through the pick and ban phase, and follow the gameplay of your players and experience the highlights of the game, all generated dynamically and live, and compete to make it to the top of your league. The game is still in the early beta phase, so all you will be able to get an exclusive first-hand experience before anyone else, and you could even directly discuss the game with the dev teams if you wanted to. Download the game for free at the link in the description, and big thanks to Rivals for sponsoring our content, and enjoy the rest of the video. So let's start this video off with the classic, the Minion Swarm glitch. So way back in Season 1 and during the beta of League of Legends, you could use Heimerdinger's turrets to block out the creeps from exiting your fountain. Nowadays, it's a little bit different. If you ever find a way to block the creeps, they just cap at spawning a certain amount, and eventually they'll stop spawning altogether. However, back then, the creeps would just continue to spawn for the entire game, and you could bundle them up and then unleash this massive push down a lane that was pretty much unstoppable due to just the insane number of minions that you would build up in the first place. I'm talking hundreds. It was definitely game breaking, but to be honest, you gotta say, it was quite hilarious as well. At number 15, we have a glitch involving none other than Khazix. There was a time when he was essentially able to glitch out his jump to allow him to instantly jump to anywhere on the entire map, essentially allowing him to just teleport wherever he pleased, whenever he pleases. This obviously led to some crazy plays that allowed you to be anywhere at any time. Talk about map presence on that one. In the next one, we have a bug with Sivir's Ricochet. If you had two targets standing on top of each other, the Ricochet would completely bug out and bounce an infinite number of times really quickly, causing you to just insta-kill both targets. Although it was one of the trickier insta-kill bugs to reproduce and was mostly kind of just luck, it's definitely one of the weakest insta-kill glitches, if you could even say that. It's definitely led to some hilarious moments and some pretty one-sided games. Next up, we've got another insta-kill glitch, and this one involved Fiddlesticks. It was a little bit easier to reproduce than the Sivir glitch, as the targets didn't have to be completely on top of each other, but the idea was relatively similar. You would throw out a dark wind, and it would bug out and bounce an infinite number of times for just an insta-kill on both targets, leading to some hilarious moments just like Sivir's glitch did. And the next one is an extremely iconic League of Legends glitch, one of the craziest ones to ever exist. It was an exploit that involved changing the game files, that involved masteries, which allowed you to bug them out, put all your points into the mastery that gave you cooldown reduction at the time, and as a result, have 100% cooldown reduction on your summoner spells. This exploit really exploded at the time and led to some crazy viral videos of people just flashing all over the place during the game. Multiple people who abused this got permabanned very quickly, and it was really quickly hotfixed, but not before we got to see some really insane YouTube videos. Next up, we've got an Undead Revived glitch. This glitch has occurred most commonly with Guardian Angels and Anivia's Rebirth, allowing you to sometimes get auto attacks or abilities off during the revive animation. It led to some really crazy plays, and while it didn't always occur, when it did, it was really impactful. This glitch has been around for a long time, and despite being quite rare, has definitely led to some crazy moments. Next up, we've got the cast time cleanse glitch. So back in the day, there was a time when a cast time of an ability was considered a debuff. So in the day, you could use cleanse to get rid of the cast time on abilities. Now this might not seem that crazy at first glance, but the easiest way to abuse this was to actually cleanse the cast time of teleport and then combine this with Skarner's ultimate, leading to free kills by just teleporting back to the base every time the abilities were up. You would literally just ult someone, instantly teleport to the fountain, and get a free kill while the fountain laser finished them off. Now next up we've got the global Anivia Stun glitch. Now this one, I gotta say I'm a little bit sorry because I haven't been able to find footage for it, but I'm very confident that this glitch existed at some point. That, or maybe I just missed the footage or something like that. With that being said, this glitch it's really old. It happened way back in the early days of League Season 1 beta, and it essentially allowed Anivia to cast her Flash Frost outside of the map and as a result hit everyone and everything with it, anywhere on the map at simply just any time. So you could literally just sit in your fountain and cast spells at people and just rack up free kills by stunning them over and over again and dealing tons of damage. Talk about game breaking for sure on that one. Next up, we've got a Darius glitch with the very infamous fountain pull. There was a time in which Darius could pull someone in after he had used the teleport spell. This glitch, while at first glance seems kind of harmless, it was definitely anything but that, and when timed correctly, you could pull people with you wherever you teleported, allowing players to teleport back into their fountain and pull right before the cast finished. This would result in you dragging the player back with you into the fountain for an insta-kill. Of course, it's not super practical because you have to teleport right next to someone, but it was nonetheless hilarious when pulled off. It led to one of the craziest highlights ever, that's for sure. Next up, we've got an insta-kill glitch involving Ryze, where his Essence Flux would bounce an infinite amount of times to all targets similar to Fiddlesticks and Sivir. He could easily area effect insta-kill opponents with really low cooldowns with this one though, and with some range and ease of use, it's a little bit crazier than some of the other insta-kill bugs, I would say. And next up, continuing the insta-kill pattern, it's none other than the Cinderhulk glitch. This would cause the item for the passive to activate about 30 to 40 times every second, allowing you to just insta-kill anyone by walking up to them. You literally didn't even have to do them, you would just stack tank items and ran around in circles getting pentakills. Now this glitch only ever existed on the PvE I believe, but I gotta say, it still counts. The game would be easy wins for obvious reasons, as really just no one could ever touch you, and I would imagine it would be pretty crazy to see an insta-kill Scion running at you, and it definitely led to some really crazy moments. Next up, we have the glitch with two ultimates involving Annie and Victor. On burst damage champions such as these, you'd think that the last thing they would need is more damage, however a double damage ultimate said otherwise. There was a bug with Annie and Victor in which their ultimates were given 200% more damage, which pretty much gave them some just automatic insta-kills whenever they had the ability up, and resulted in some really overpowered Victor and Annie plays straight out of an AD carry main's nightmares. Next up, we've got a glitch that was actually an exploit, and it involved self-casting abilities and a glitch in the game itself that allowed you to get some really weird results. It's kind of hard to explain, but it would allow someone like Brand to cast his ultimate at level 1, and Vayne could have every single auto attack be a condemn effect. It led to some really weird stuff, and a few people actually ended up getting banned for abusing this exploit. Next up, we've got what I would say are probably the most overpowered glitches in this video, if you could even rank them, and it was the glitches that would make players completely intargetable, invulnerable, or some version of that. A version of it occurred on Katarina, Ziggs, and even Maokai. It essentially would just make you invincible or untargetable for the entire game. You could literally 1v5 the enemies in their fountain without any issue, and it just made things really OP and really lame too. Regardless of the moment, it definitely did lead to some pretty crazy plays that we'll probably never see again in League of Legends. Next up, we've got a glitch involving Jax in a particularly interesting way. Now this glitch allowed you to use Zhonya's and in turn give Jax maximum attack speed even if you had 0 attack speed items, which allowed you to push towers in the early game like crazy, and even though the glitch would only have the attack speed last 5 seconds, it was more than enough for him to get a free tower every time the cooldown came up. I mean, can you imagine just being up against an early game Zhonya's Jax just to see him completely melt your tower instantly? It was definitely a pretty crazy one. And next up we have a Shaco glitch that allowed players to become permanently invisible. It was really crazy, and Shaco players who used and abused this glitch were able to easily wreck everyone in game by just being, well, permanently invisible for the entire game. It made it really difficult to ever get a hit on him, let alone do anything, and of course allowed him to get constant backstabs against everyone really. It essentially made League of Legends a horror game for a short period of time. Next up, we've got one of the crazier ones, and it's Yorick, which was involved in kind of this infinite death invulnerability glitch. It caused Yorick to stay at 1 HP consistently and just get killed an infinite number of times, but without actually dying. So this bug essentially just made you invincible for the entire game, and you could literally just run around doing whatever you wanted to. It was, however, a little bit finicky and didn't really always work, but when it did, oh boy, it was scary. And on the theme of making characters invulnerable, we have the untouchable Karthus glitch. Now this caused you to be completely untouchable to everything. You could walk around and just do whatever you wanted to. If you wanted to win the game, you could just tank all the towers and just push it down mid and win the game, since, well, nothing could kill you. It made everything pretty unfun and one-sided, and I gotta say, I feel bad for everyone who got caught up in this one. At number 8, we have Tower Defense Azir. I know League of Legends is an objective-focused game, but it's hard to play like that when Azir is just spawning infinite turrets at will at any point-and-click spot on the map. Some one-sided gameplay and crazy moments definitely came out of this one, and tons of players were banned who abused this glitch. It's probably one of the most infamous ones, and I think we can all understand why. And next up, we've got another insta-kill glitch on the list, which was actually an exploit involving Blade of the Ruined King. It essentially allowed you to infinitely cast Blade of the Ruined King active without a cooldown, so you could just bind a macro like mouse scroll down or something like that, or just something more complicated to make it so that you could cast it 100 times in a second, and then just walk up to anyone, press the macro button, and you just insta-kill them on the spot. This one is really insane because it's just a point-and-click burst, which makes it super scary and really nothing you could ever do against it. You're just dead instantly. And with that being said, that's just about going to wrap up our video for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the rather long list. I find looking into these glitches super fun and interesting. It's a blast from the past for anyone who remembers these moments, or if you're a newer player, maybe it was kind of just like a fun little bit of information. Regardless, if you enjoyed the video, definitely hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this one in the future. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.